Alright, you're welcome to my channel once again, and this is another very short and interesting video where I'm looking at a particular aspect of chemistry, still under the aspect of basic chemistry. And like I said before, for these series of videos I'll be uploading, I'll make sure that I look at the basic aspect of chemistry, which some persons fail to look at while they're preparing for what examination. So if you know anybody who's preparing for either UTME exam, WAEC exam, or SSC examination, tell the person, of course, to subscribe to my channel. Of course, it's very easy, MOSJARO, where I get to upload short and precise videos and where I get to look at questions that do come out in this examination. So if you have problem in basic chemistry, of course, this is the channel to check out. Now let's look at the question. We have a question like this. They said, which of the following set of elements is arranged in the order of increasing first ionization energy? Now, first off, before you begin to answer a particular question, you must make sure to look at the terminology, like I usually say, used in the questions. Now, they are talking about here ionization energy. Now, this is one of the physical property that do affect elements in the periodic what table. Now, there are various elements that affect elements in the periodic table, so I'm going to list them out. So it's not just jumping into the question. I'm going to show you why the answer is like that, or why the other options are quite wrong. So in case you get to come across questions like this in other examination, you'll be able to what to trash it very well. So let's jump into the issue now. In this aspect, they're talking about ionization energy. Now, I made mention of something just now. I said it's one of the physical properties that affects elements in the periodic table. Now, that means you have to know what the periodic table is. It's a table that shows the orderly arrangement of elements according to increase in atomic what number. Now, in the periodic table, elements are categorized or arranged into what? Into groups, and of course, they are arranged into what? Into periods. Now, I want to bring out some certain parts of chemistry. Now, in the periodic table shows the ordered element according to increase in atomic number. Now, the elements are arranged into groups and into what? Period. Now, elements in the same period have the same number of shells, while elements in the same group have the same number of valence electrons. So the valence electron is what determines the group an element belongs to, while the number of shell determines the period an element belongs to. Now, like I rightfully said just now, that there are some physical properties that tends to affect elements in the periodic table. Now, what are these physical properties and how do they affect elements in the periodic table? So I'm going to list them out. Of course, ionization energy is one of those properties. Now, what are those properties? Let me list them out very quickly. Number one is what? Is ionization energy, obviously. Number one is ionization energy. Number two is electron affinity. Number two is electron affinity. Number three is electron negativity. Electron negativity. Then number four is what? Is atomic radii, if you like, atomic radius. Now, number five is electropositivity. Now, these are the basic properties that tends to affect elements in the periodic table. And of course, you can see that ionization energy is one of them. And the question we are facing now is based on ionization energy. Now, how do we get to know which is the correct answer without having you to guess? Because guessing is not allowed in chemistry, else you're going to have one or two confusions. Now let's jump into the matter. We have to know what's ionization energy, and we have to know what affects ionization energy. So one thing is to know what is ionization energy, the other thing is to know what affects it. Now, what's ionization energy? Is the energy needed, the minimum energy needed to remove electrons from the outermost shell to form an ion. Simply put, very easy, the minimum energy needed to remove electrons from the outermost shell to form an ion. Now let me give you an instance. Probably we are having an element here, for instance, sodium, and sodium has an atomic number of 11. Sodium is 11. So because a neutral element, sodium is 11, therefore it's going to have 11 number of electron also. Now, if you do the configuration, you are going to be having, of course, the first shell will take 2 electrons, the other shell will take 8 electrons, will be arranged in the second shell, which is the L shell, while the other one will take what? 1 electron. Remember, the center is the nucleus of an atom. Now, we have to break it down. Remember, the nucleus of an atom is the center of an atom. Now, this nucleus is made of protons and neutrons. Now, remember, sir, that these protons and these neutrons, not rush am. The protons is positively charged, but the neutron do not have charge. Therefore, automatically it's the proton that confers charge on the nucleus. So automatically the nucleus is positively charged. But remember that the electrons are negatively charged. Now, negative and positive, there seems to be what? An attraction. Now, this electron here is attracted to the nucleus, but not as the one that is in this second shell, but this is still attracted to the nucleus. So the energy needed, minimum energy needed to remove this electron from the outermost shell of an element or an atom is what is regarded as what? As ionization energy. Energy needed to remove electron from the outermost shell. Now remember, when this electron is removed from the outermost shell, automatically this element forms an ion. So it now becomes, we now have a situation where we have Na to give me Na plus what? E minus. So ions are what? Ions are formed. So you have known the meaning of ionization energy just now. That is the energy needed to remove electron from the outermost shell of what? Of an atom or of an element. Now, when the electron is being lost, what will happen? It will form an ion basically. Now, there are some factors that do affect ionization energy, and one of them is what I pointed at indirectly just now. Is what? Is the nuclear charge. That the charge of the what? Of the nucleus. The nuclear charge affects ionization energy. So the higher the nuclear charge, the higher the ionization energy. Now you have to pay attention to that. So there are some factors. So they can say list factors that affects ionization energy. One of them is the nuclear charge. The other one is the atomic radius also affects ionization energy. How? The atomic size, that is to say, the distance of the what's it called? Of the electron from the nucleus. So the farther away the electron is from the nucleus, the smaller the ionization energy. Do you understand it now? So that means the higher the atomic radius or atomic size, the smaller the ionization energy. So if this one is far away, of course, the nuclear charge, the charge will not be too high. What will happen? It will be easier for me to remove the electron. So very easy. So look at the two things so you don't get it confused. What are the two factors that affect ionization energy? Number one is what? Is nuclear charge. Number two is what? Atomic radius or atomic size affects what? Ionization energy. Now the next question is, of course, what they're asking us here, how does it vary with the periodic table? Ionization energy increases across the period. What does that mean? That is to say, across the period, elements in the same period, they must be on the same period. Across the period, ionization energy is increasing. That means if I'm moving from group 1 to group 2 to group 3 to group 4, ionization energy increases. But if I'm moving from top to bottom, that means, for instance, now, if I'm having elements, of course, they give us elements now. These are the elements in group 1. We have lithium, we have sodium, we have potassium, we have rubidium, we have cesium, and of course, we have what? Francium. All these are the elements in group 1. So, because all of them are in group 1, if I'm moving from top to bottom, look at it, ionization energy is what? Is decreasing. Is decreasing. Now, but if I'm moving across the period, so ionization energy decreases if I'm moving from top to bottom. But if I'm moving across the period, it increases. That is to say, now let's get to look at this question. Said, which of the following set of elements is arranged in order of increasing first ionization energy? Now, if you look at the options, all the elements in the options are in group 1. Now, they said which one of them is arranged in order of increasing ionization energy. Remember, if I'm moving from top to bottom, is decreasing. That means if I'm moving from bottom to top, it will be increasing. Therefore, you now check your option. This is sodium, lithium, potassium, rubidium. No. So our correct answer ought to be rubidium, potassium, sodium, and lithium. Rubidium, potassium, sodium, and lithium. So our answer here is what? Is D. Now you have to be very careful while you are looking at options. Most times, some people they rush too much. If you look at option B, it almost looks like option D. But there's a little mismatch. Lithium, sodium. No. Sodium ought to come before what? Lithium. So that's why you must know your periodic table very well. That's why you must log on to this channel as I break down this information. So it's not about MOSJARO. It's not about knowing the answer. It's to know why the answer is that. So you can use that information to solve other questions. Now, of course, you can see why the answer is option D, and you can see how ionization energy varies with the periodic table. And again, you can see other physical factors that affects elements in the what? In the periodic what? Table. So now, of course, this is just one question. I have a lot of questions to review to you as we proceed in various videos. So I make my videos very, very short. I don't want to waste too much time. So if you know you're writing jam, if you know you watch this video, please do well to share, and of course do well to drop your comment in the comment section. Of course, anything that you want us to do as we upload these videos, just let MOSJARO know. Of course, these questions is coming from the effective guide, which is the effective compendium. It's a book that I've arranged topic by topic with points and questions, which you can also get or lay your hands on it and begin to look at questions by yourself. And of course, as you watch this video, please do well to share, do well to subscribe, and do well to comment and share with your friends. So MOSJARO will see you in other videos. Thank you very much.